Hello everyone, I'm here with Barney, who made it into the top 16 at this past weekend's ARG Orlando Yu-Gi-Oh! Event with Blue Eyes. Alright, so show us what you played.
Well, I, of course, played 3 Blue Eyes. I like that they made this the key card of the entire deck. You have to play 3 of the vanilla because of this guy. You reveal the other Blue Eyes, special summon him, completely inherent, so Majesty's Fiend. Unfortunately, that means it's gets striked and stuff, but, you know, take what you can get. This makes the deck completely better. Instant summon, free basically, especially with Melody, which searches this and this. Best card in the movie pack by far. And now onto this. I play 2 of this because when you Dragon Shrine, this is usually the first thing you send, so you have like a live Silver's Cry and a live Gospel or Return of the Dragon Lords. And when you send this as well, this means that you still have a target left in deck to special summon off of him at the end phase. This card is amazing. It eats through all the back row by banishing it. So banish Cosmotown might as well be its effect's name. Banish all the back row. When I played against Demise Cosmo, he opened up 5 back row. And I looped this guy and banished 3, and Twin Twister the other 2. So I absolutely love this card.
Nice.
Also, when it's like targeted by Kieran or something, I can chain tribute it and summon this if they have a monster. So it gets around, dodges stuff. It's just so good. But this is still better. This card is the level 1 tuner MVP. Banish it from your graveyard to add a Blue Eyes monster, so alternative, normal Blue Eyes, even the Synchro if you run out of it, but that didn't happen to me. And the banish is once per turn. However, if you get 2 of these engrave in 1 turn, you can summon Blue Eyes and this and just flood your field with monsters, which is hard to get over, especially if you have the Return of the Dragon Lords in your graveyard. But I absolutely love this card. And it's a tuner, so ridiculous. One of this, sometimes you don't open up with Blue Eyes, an alternative is in your hand, and this makes that card live with Dragon Shrine and stuff. Also a level 1 tuner, so you can synchro with it, and anytime it's integrated by anything at all, you add the Blue Eyes. Unfortunately, it's mandatory, which is a little weird sometimes. If you run out of these in Blue Eyes, normal Blue Eyes in your deck, they get to look through your entire deck, see if you have one, unless they're all in your graveyard. But if you have one in your hand, it's unfortunate. But that also didn't happen to me. Sage. This card is incredible. Normal summon, search for level 1 tuner, so any of the tuners I've shown you so far, or Effect Veiler, which is, I'll get to that in a second. Also, you reveal it, target an effect monster on your field, special summon a Blue Eyes monster from your deck. So let's say you open up with this and this. If you have an alternative in your hand, you can summon this, target this with that, and then summon a Blue Eyes, and then search this normal vanilla Blue Eyes, and then summon alternative and just overlay or whatever you want with it. So this card is amazing. Most of the time, I would be searching Effect Veiler, by far the best card in this entire deck. MVP. Won me a game against Monarchs in Swiss. Unfortunately, when I played against Crystal Blanc, he had Brilliant Fusion, so Effect Veiler didn't really stop that, but I mean, what can you do in that situation? I would never ever take this out. I like playing 2 of it because a lot of lists play 1 Effect Veiler because it's searchable, but if I'm going second, which I love to, I want to open this card. Obligatory cards. Twin Twister. I don't really care about the discard. I can discard a Blue Eyes, blow up their back row, return the Blue Eyes. This is necessary right now. Demise, everything like that. Just, you have to get through the back row. Upstart, I had an empty space. This card doesn't really influence anything. It just draws me into power cards. Their life points to me doesn't matter because I either OTK or I put them at a life point count that, yeah, the 1,000 life points did not matter. Not in this deck. Maybe in Monarchs, but not in this deck. I have been waiting to play this card for a long time. Ever since all the Blue Eyes support started coming out, it was irrelevant to play this card.
Yeah, I hear this card's pretty good.
Yeah, opening it is really, really nice. A lot of times your first inclination will be to discard a tuner, one of the things with graveyard effects, but that's not usually what you want to do, because you want to discard, let's say, this, or this, or this. You want to have these to normal summon for synchroing. Sometimes you have to do this, but sometimes you have these and that's just a more optimal play, especially when you're special summoning from grave so much. But this card, God, you don't even have to search the same different cards. You can search two alternatives if you already have a Blue Eyes monster, or Blue Eyes normal monster. Wow, I'm so happy I get to play this card now. 3 Return of the Dragon Lord, Protection in Grave, returning Blue Eyes alternative if you've already summoned it, because it has to first be special summoned. So if you special summon it with its own effect and it's not striked, then you get to just loop that too. Maybe loop it, pop their monster, synchro with it, attack. It's just very strong. The protection is amazing, because if you set up a field of like your synchro spirit, you don't have to go standby phase, tribute for Azure, just at protection. If they go Regeki, you can just banish this and protect it. And you can do it in the damage step because it doesn't activate. It's an applied effect. So it protects everything. It's amazing. Triple trade-in, you play so many searchable level 8s. This is just staple. All Blue Eyes decks should absolutely play 3 of this. Speaking of which, Cards of Consonance. Some people don't like this card that much. I don't really agree with those people, because I play 3 of this, 1 of the Whitestone of Legend, so that's 4 already, and normally I would play 1 of these with 3 to 4 targets, but because I'm playing 3 Sage, I can search these. I mean, I like searching Effect Veiler, but sometimes I'll already have the Effect Veiler, or I can draw into the Effect Veiler, or I don't need the Effect Veiler, like if I'm against Cosmo or something and it's not that great. So playing 2 of this, it drew me so much. Like, one game, it was crazy. It was unlikely, but I activated all 3 trade-ins and all 2 Cards of Consonances, and it drew me an amazing hand. Just ridiculous, and it filled up my graveyard, and just, oh gosh, that was ridiculous. 2 Dragon Shrines. Now, as most people did when they were playing Blue Eyes or researching a build for Blue Eyes, we all looked at the OCG deck lists, and when we were looking at those, some of them were playing 1 rather than 2, and I understand you have a lot of things to pitch, put them in grave already, but it's such a powerful card and such a good card to start out with. I don't want to play 3 because it's cloggy, because it's once per name, so you can't go Dragon Shrine, Dragon Shrine. You have to wait a turn, and I don't want a dead card, but this is like Dragon's Ravine. But instead of putting it in the field zone, losing a card, and then having to discard, which is a -1 essentially, even if you send Whitestone of Legend to search a Blue Eyes, it loses you a card. And Dragon's Ravine doesn't offer any like protection for your monsters or any buffs for your anything. It does the same thing as this card, unless you're playing like Dragoonity tech or something, but this card is just much better for me. Okay. Silver's Cry. I played 2 because I'm playing the Dragon Shrines. I'm playing the 2 of the Dragon Spirits of White, which is a normal monster in grave. That's important. So you can, this becomes an MST on your opponent's turn if you set it. They can like Twin Twister your back row and then you chain it. Maybe banish a Cosmo Town, banish their back row in the end phase or something. It's just very good. All of this deck functions well off of special summoning from the graveyard. So
extra damage in the battle phase too.
Yes, quick play like El Cheval Fusion. You can just OTK them out of nowhere. 1 of spells, Regeki. I will probably be siding this from now on. I mained it because of Monarch matchup, but honestly, unless they were maining Majesties or Vanities, this is not the most optimal card. And against Cosmos and stuff, they float. BA floats. Everything floats. in the mirror match, it can be good sometimes, but if they have Return of the Dragon Lords, this card is essentially dead because you just activate it and they banish. Even in the Magician matchup, they obviously have Kieran, which has protection, but the guy had Jiangshi, and I didn't want to deal with getting my light monsters negated, but he also had a Time Sword Magician in his scale, which offers once per turn protection, and this card was dead, and I was like, so I'd probably side this for Majesty's Vanities and whatnot.
Okay.
And Soul Charge is a very good card. Everybody ever should play it because you fill up your graveyard so fast, and you can make incredible boards. Crystal Wing by summoning your Spirit, tributing it, summon Michael or Moonlight Rose, and then Soul Charging your Spirit back, your level 1 tuner, and then whatever else you want, and you can just win games with this card. Now for one that is a little off the wall, 3 traps. I know a lot of Blue Eyes decks opt not to play traps because they want to be as fast as possible. But when it comes down to it, Monarchs kind of are a hard matchup for this deck. And when I say kind of, I mean a really tough matchup because Stormforth is an issue. Obviously Vanities doesn't help with that, but Vanities, you can summon Stardust Spark Dragon so easily that you can just win games with Vanity's Emptiness. When I was playing against a Cosmo player, I summoned Stardust Spark, Vanity's Emptiness. It won me the game. He just scooped after that because he had like calls and Oasis and stuff, and he couldn't do anything. Warning is just the best trap in this entire deck, and pretty much one of the top traps, if not the top trap in general. Pendulums, Cosmos, if you negate their summon, they have to have E-Telly or call it with all their stuff already engraved, and it's pretty much self-explanatory. And Chaos Trap Hole, because Monarchs is the toughest matchup and they're light and dark. Blue Eyes, light. Pendulums even have Crobat and stuff like that, so it's just a good card. And all 3 of these traps are incredibly powerful. Your trade-ins, your cards of consonances, they draw you into this. And if I had times, significant amount of times, where I would have the Spirit Synchro Dragon, an Effect Veiler in my hand, and a 1 set back row, and that was just a really, really tough board for them to break. But if it was Monarchs, they had Stormforth, and that does break that board. Going to the extra deck, Titanic Galaxy, easy rank 8s in this deck, of course. This card negates a spell, amazing, attaches it to itself, Pantheism. They don't banish from grave, so on and so forth. I'm sure pretty much everybody knows why that card is good. Felgrand, this card is really good. It's good against Monarchs because they either Stormforth and you target itself so it's unaffected by Stormforth, like Towers, or you negate an Edea or something and they don't get their extra summon. It's just good in general. In the mirror match, it offered protection for my monsters. Just in general, it's not the MVP or anything, but it's good. Lancelot. My first match, I played against PK Fire. I summoned this 2 times. It won me both games. When you put someone in a position where they pretty much only have one thing to activate, they can't really do anything because it just negates that activation. And it's also a Nightmare Shark, just in case. These 3 cards are amazing. Well, this card isn't amazing, but it ranks up into this card, which is amazing. Detach 1, blow up any face-up card, monsters, spell and traps that are face-up, return, domain, yada yada. It's just like a free pop, basically, because you're just going to rank it up into this. It is cost to send the dragons from your deck to your graveyard, so they can't even like Veiler it and stop you from sending from deck to grave. And then it's a big beater, and it's attacks twice. This card is just, this is the MVP of the XYZs, if at least in the aggressive sense. This is the defensive MVP, this is the offensive MVP. Would not ever take this card out, and it fills up the graveyard. So one of the 3 matches, or one of the 3 games, 2 matches technically, where I soul charged, I made this before I soul charged and filled up my entire graveyard and then soul charged and stuff, and that was just ridiculous. Now for the synchro lineup, these are basically all centered around this. One time I did something a little cheeky, not gonna lie. He kaiju'd my monster, and I synchroed for Stardust Spark with his, it was the Spider kaiju, and it's level 7, so I normaled the level 1 tuner and synchroed with this, for this, and that was pretty cool. But in general, these two, this one interrupts on your opponent's turn because this activates during either player's, so return a special summon monster to their hand. It's just good against a lot of things, especially Monarchs sometimes, Edea into Eidos, return their Eidos, return their Prime, Mirror Match, return alternative to their hand, alternatives once per name, so they can't do anything about that. But this is an amazing card. It wrecks pendulums. They can only special summon one monster. You can't special summon 2 or more monsters at the same time. Also, it stops them from soul charging in the mirror match, which is very important because that card will lose you the game. It also negates any graveyard effect, not just monsters, but spells, traps, Pantheism Prime, Cosmo monsters, etc. Very, very good. And then you tribute it to summon, typically it will be this, summon it in defense position. It offers protection from targeting and destruction, so Magispector protection, essentially like Kieran and whatnot. Also during your standby phase, you special summon a normal type monster, so you can summon this or this and just banish their back row, and if you don't have this one, then you just summon a 3000 beater and it ignites plays. This banishes Cosmotown, which you can already do, but why not do it more, because that matchup is pretty tough.
You seem to be a big fan of doing that.
Yeah, that card is stupid. It should not be able to recycle itself like that. Also, you summon this, banish a card, then put a tuner on the field, summon Crystal Wing. Crystal Wing is an incredible card, and even better, when you summon this legally, you can use Return of the Dragon Lords to resummon it if they somehow get rid of it for, say, Stormforth or something like that. So I wouldn't change anything about the extra deck except maybe take Felgrand out for Dragluon if Blue Eyes becomes that prominent. And then Twin Burst, I didn't actually get to summon this monster, but it is an out to Dark Planet, or if Blue Eyes has protection with Return of the Dragon Lords or something, it just banishes them. F-Zero, etc. Problem cards, basically. This is a problem solver, but it's also situational. But I would still keep it just in case. And for the side deck, I may have oversighted for VA, but I liked these cards, came in clutch. Maxi obviously does more than does more decks in than BA, but Flying C is for BA. Flying C came in clutch in a PK Fire matchup. I had Maxi, Veiler, and Flying C, and it was kind of hard to lose that because Torguide negate with Veiler, Maxi, etc. It was ridiculous, and then they couldn't play, so I just won. Maxi against Cosmos, it was good. When I played against Blair in Swiss, one of the 2 I lost to because I went 6-2. He OTK'd me through Maxi. I drew like 15 cards, and it didn't help because he just kept crashing into stuff, and I didn't have any other hand traps to help. Veiler would not have helped in that situation because it was in the battle phase, so I don't know if I would keep 3 in this side deck. I will keep testing that, but I guess we'll find out. Twin Twister for Pendulums, Twin Twister for Demise, Twin Twister for any kind of thing that has spells and traps to deal with. I like having the 3rd. It's really strong, and like I said, discarding doesn't matter that much in this deck. Sometimes you want to discard. So, yeah, I would keep this. Okay. 2 Dark Holes, got to deal with Majesties, got to deal with Vanities. Well, you don't have to deal with Majesties as much because of Alternative, but Vanities is a big issue, so I was a little worried. Also, this is just good against Monarchs in general. For my traps, 2 Decree, against Demise, draw into it off of my cards of Consonants and Trade-ins. very powerful floodgate. Also, you can protect it with Stardust Spark. Same thing with this one, protection with Stardust Spark. And if you Stardust Spark, Massive Restrict, it's so good. And if you have Veiler in hand too, that's a little, if you summon Sage, summon Alternative, summon Spirit Dragon, tribute it for Stardust Spark, you target itself so it doesn't die at the end phase, and then you flip this up, target this if they Twin Twister it, and then you search Veiler off Sage, so you're pretty much set, you don't lose.
It's pretty hard for Monarchs to out.
Exactly. And then the one of Solemn Scolding. Now, against Blue Eyes in Swiss, I Scolding the trade-in after I Vanity'd his Azure Eyes during the standby phase, and it blew him out. He couldn't do anything. I would side this in against Monarchs because I take out my Vanity's Emptiness against Monarchs. I would side this in against Pendulums because I take out the Chaos Trapple, and it's Solemn Judgment, except I think it's so powerful. The condition in this particular deck doesn't really matter that much, having a set card, because even if you have Massive Restrict, you're flipping this up. This is going to be face up. So you don't have to worry about having a set card, and it's just incredibly powerful. Much like Solemn Warning, this deck functions well with a couple powerful traps. Not too many, just a couple. And when I was playing against Cosmos in Swiss for my last game, I opened Sage with 4 back row. One was Twin Twister, Chaos Trapple, Solemn Warning, and Royal Decree. I was really surprised myself, but I searched Ancient Whitestone, Twin Twisted his back row at the end phase after warning him, summoning Blue Eye Spirit, and then made plays and then Chaos Trappled the next turn, and he was surprised that I had traps like that in the deck. So it was a little bit for the surprise factor, which wasn't as great in top 16 when people are studying your deck lists, but it functioned really well in Swiss. So that's pretty much it.
So you talked a lot about Monarchs. Was that your toughest matchup?
Yes, Monarchs is definitely the toughest matchup for this deck. Stoneforth is just a problem card for Blue Eyes. Cosmos was a little rough, and I definitely should have sided System down because it's just, especially Dark Planet. I had an issue getting over Dark Planet, but you have to be able to play around their big beaters, which is kind of funny because you're playing a big beater deck, but theirs float and yours doesn't. But with Monarchs, they just out you field really fast, and even if you have recurrence with your spells that special summon from grave, you still have to deal with the fact that they are gaining advantage every turn. And Veiler is amazing against that deck, but you don't always have it.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
Shout outs to my friend Rodney Charles for letting me borrow cards to finish this deck and playtesting with me and just helping me a lot with it. Shout out to my girlfriend Celise for always supporting me. Shout out to my great friends at the Jacksonville Yu-Gi-Oh community for just not only getting 3 of the top 16 spots at ARG Orlando, good job guys, but also helping me improve as a player over time and get to where I am getting now, and I can't wait to improve more and top a couple more events and stuff.
All right. Well, I want to thank you, and I wish you luck in future events.
Thank you.